Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host for today's broadcast, Insane Layer 13, as we're about to get underway here for Stint 3 of 4 here for IARA's 8 Hours at Mid-Ohio Enduro. It has been very lopsided when it comes to car performances thus far today. The Porsches and the Acuras have been absolutely destroying everything else. We have had one Mercedes that has been kind of stuck in the midfield, and then the Chevys have been basically completely irrelevant for most of the day. They've not been able to come home higher than 10th or be better than 2 laps down at the end of these events thus far. In the touring car category, though, it is a lot closer, though. We have had 2 different winners, and the winner in Stint 2 had finished way behind in Stint 1. So things are a little bit closer in touring car. That might be what we really need to keep our eye on for a proper close fight to the end. In the top category, though, it could get really interesting because it's going to be NDL Avocado and NDL Cosmic. Both of them have shown some incredible and impressive speed. We're going to go ahead and try to knock out a Twitch-mandated ad break before we get underway for the race here. Hopefully we do not miss the start. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Mid-Ohio. For some reason, we seem to be in some sort of prolonged holding pattern right now. Not really sure what exactly has gone wrong. I'm hoping that it is not something on my end and that we are just legitimately in this prolonged holding pattern for some reason. I'm not seeing anything said, so yeah, whatever may have happened, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if we have to do a lobby restart. Yeah, I have to agree. Who said that in the chat? Enzioga? I have to agree with Enzioga. I think it's very likely we'll have a lobby restart by the looks of it. We'll see in just a second if we're doing a lobby restart or not. Oh yeah, definitely, with all those people immediately pulling out. All right. Attempt 2. Considering we've gone as far as we did without needing a restart prior to that, I'm actually feeling relatively confident. Real quick, let's look down through some of the drivers who will be partaking in this run. TBR Mr. White, yes, science, will be running in one. Well, are they going to a brand new lot? No. TBR Mr. White is going to be in the Audi touring car. Have-Nots BFL will be in the other Audi touring car. BFL Colin will be in one of the Honda touring cars. RMS Gauch will be in the other Honda touring car. Primo Carnivore will be in the MG touring car. BFL Striker will be back in the Ford Focus touring car. AFMG will be in the 101 Chevrolet. Anzio 3093 will be in one of the Chevrolets as well. Chiron VT is back in one of the Chevrolets. Crazy Cowlin is back as well. Hilfiger is back in the lone Mercedes entry. LMP Enzo will be taking over one of the Acura spots, as will Indiel Cosmic and Galactic Hero. Indiel Idowillis, Indiel Wara, Two Kind Flora, Calco, RP Mullet, and why is it moving everybody around? I do not know why. And ZR Villa should all be jumping into Porsches, but for some reason it kicked Villa into one of the touring cars. I'm not really sure what the cause for that is right now. Got it. Thank you, Chiron. So Chiron is going to be doing a double stinting for the rest of it. So Chiron will be running the stint and the next stint as well. So Chiron, while it's not an Iron Man, he's basically been doing 3 out of 4 stints today. So hell of a fucking run for Chiron if he can make that stick all the way to the end here. So I have to give it just a little bit of time before we attempt this again. If it takes long enough, I will try to knock out another Twitch-mandated ad break, so that way we can have as long of a run of no ads in the middle of the race as possible here. Still in a bit of a holding pattern as we're waiting to do attempt 2 at firing off for stint 3 out of 4 here today. Oh, apparently Chiron actually wanted to Iron Man, it's just the rules wouldn't allow him. Dude, I've Iron Man 6-hour enduros. Iron Man 8-hour enduros, something else. All right, we're going to try and knock out a Twitch-mandated ad break, and hopefully when we come back, they'll be organizing the grid. We'll be back momentarily here at Mid-Ohio. Okay, it looks like we're getting Higher Cranky in here real quick. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Mid-Ohio. If you're not already here, or if you haven't already been here for the last 21 minutes of this stream, we are basically in a holding pattern waiting for them to get the last guy in here and ready up. We've had 2 stints thus far. Stint 1 had a lot of chaos in the early to mid parts. Stint 2 was a lot more calm all the way through. Balancing has been absolutely not atrocious. Atrocious probably isn't the right word. It's just that it's really hard to keep cars balanced for this circuit in particular because of how extremely hyper-technical 2/3 of this track is. The Acuras and the Porsches have been completely unstoppable. They took home top 5 results easily in Stint 1, top 7 in top 6 in Stint 2, and the highest non-Porsche and non-Acura car has not been able to finish on the lead lap once yet. However, amongst that, it is looking like it's going to be relatively interesting going down to the end. It looks like Indio Avocado and Indio Cosmic's team are going to be the 2 main teams fighting for this, with an extreme outside fight by Zivar Villa's team going forward. In the touring car category, it's a little bit tighter. The dominant car had 2 completely ruined pit stops in Stint 1. So they started Stint 2 about a half lap behind. They've closed that down to about a quarter of a lap behind. So they need to continue to try and close that gap down a bit more going forward. We are still waiting on the last of the drivers to get in here. Hopefully it's not going to take too much longer. Yeah, Haya Cranky is now in here officially. All right. So yeah, once Haya Cranky and IARA properly ready up, we should see everyone get underway on circuit. All right, so now we're getting the field ordered back up. As you can see, it will be Indio Avocado and Indio Cosmic at the head of the field. The ZR entry, ZR Villa, has been the fastest of the Porsches thus far today. It's been absolutely fantastic seeing that they are the ones that are leading the charge. We honestly thought it would be the LMP guys who would be leading the other charge, but no, it's actually the ZR entry that has been. Calco will be 4th. Idai Willis will be 5th. Wara will be 6th, Hilfiger will be 7th, Galactic Hero will be 8th, Enzo will be 9th, 10th will go to Anzio, 11th will go to Crazy Cowlin, 12th will go to Chiron, 13th will be Haya Cranky, 13th will be Mullet, 14th will be Haya Cranky, and 15th will be Too Kind Flora. 14 will be Too Kind Flora, I guess. 15th will be... Come on. Which one's it going to be? All right, so 15th will be Haya Cranky, and 16th will be AFMG Land 101, the last of the Chevys. In touring cars, it will be RMS Josh, TBR Mr. White, BFL Striker, Primo Carnivore, BFL Colin, and Have Nots BFL. And that will be the lineup as we prepare to load onto the circuit proper here. We do apologize for running so bloody far behind here in this stint. Are we already restarting again? Oh my god. All right. What went wrong this time? All right. Preparing for attempt number 3 here. It was ironic because I jumped when I was loading into this Stint 3 lobby. I used the Discord voice chat to do that, and the only thing I heard said was somebody said, "Hey, we're actually doing really good on time," and someone else said, "Shut up! If you're talking about us doing good on time, you're going to ruin it for us." And wow, what do you know? It's been ruined for everybody. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, we are still in a prolonged holding pattern right now, waiting to try and get underway here. This is hopefully going to be the final attempt at starting up for our stint here. Stint 3. Stint 1, relatively aggressive and chaotic in the early to mid parts, but calmed down near the end. Stint 2 was relatively calm all the way through. We're really curious to see how Stint 3 is going to turn out. All right, so now they are organizing. Again, NDL Avocado and NDL Cosmic are the main two you're going to want to be focusing on in this. Apparently, VER Salins is taking over for the ZR team. That's interesting. All right, here we are. Attempt 3. A pair of Acras on the front row, then 2 rows of Porsches as they come down the start-finish line. It is green flag, and we are underway once again here. And here comes on the extreme outside. That is Calco. Calco's going to try and wrap it around the extreme outside and immediately bounces off as going to barely keep it on circuit. You just can't go 3 wide. Even if you have the momentum, you will not have the line to make it stick, it appears. And Calco has slipped to 4th position after all that. But it is still dead heat between the 2 NDL entries at the head of the field. Still dead even. There's a lot of chaos going on farther back in the grid, though. There's chaos all over the place. I believe that was Mr. White that may have gotten a little bit sideways, and that may have been Primo Carnivore that was involved in an incident as well farther back. But at the front, it is still Avocado and Cosmic still side by side now as they go into turn 4. Now they come down to turn 5. Cosmic and Avocado still side by side. Now they run downhill to turn 6. Someone has to back out of it. It will be Cosmic who backs out of it. Avocado goes to the lead. It is IARA, who is currently reigning in 3rd position with Galactic Hero 4th and Calco slipping back to 5th. 6th place is VER Salins. So the replacement driver in the ZR team absolutely having an atrocious time. Now he slips back to 8th behind ZR Haya Cranky, would appear, as it goes from bad to worse. Hilfiger was involved in that big incident earlier in that one Mercedes, the lone Mercedes. There's no damage to the car, but that string of the Mercedes being the highest finishing car that's not been a Acura Porsche is likely going to come to an end now. There is somebody who is jumping into the pit lane. That is BFL Colin, who's coming to the pit lane. The front of the car is absolutely destroyed, so he absolutely destroyed something here. And it looks like RMS Josh is going to go ahead and pit as well. And RMS Josh, this was the car that won Stint 2, and the thing has to pit right away on lap 1. So all of a sudden, we are looking at a scenario where TBR team, once again, has a massive upper hand in this event in the touring car category. All right, meanwhile, in the top class, it is Avocado, followed by NDL Cosmic, then NDL Wara, and NDL Idolist. Then it is Haya Cranky and Galactic Hero here. Haya Cranky will muscle by Galactic Hero, putting his Porsche up into the 5th position now. 7th place is VER Salen's. 8th place is Anzio, which is the highest we have seen any of the Corvettes run all day today. 9th place is Calco. 10th place is Cowlin. 11th is LMP Enzo. So this yellow Acura entry just seems to continue to get worse and worse run as this day goes on, it would appear. And there's Contact Act behind. That is Chiron. And that is Too Kind Flora? No, who is that? Who is that spun out? Was that Lan? It is Lan, who is still in ghost mode. Something has gone wrong. There's no damage to the car outside of a bit of transmission issue. But whatever has gone wrong has gone catastrophically wrong. And this Corvette is now going to fall to 20th on track. So behind all but the damaged touring cars from earlier. And Hilfiger has now gotten his way out of the touring car mess and can try and start closing the gap down to the GT drivers ahead. So a lot of chaos going on early this stint this time. But at the front, it is NDL holding the top 4 positions. And it is just the Acuras, honestly, that are just running away with it. So the NDL teams that jumped into the Acura seem to have the best grip on everything. One of the biggest strengths of the Acura in this game that we know of is their incredible acceleration. Unless you absolutely completely botch the way that these cars are built, these cars will have a natural, massive acceleration advantage. And traditionally, having an acceleration advantage is going to be keen over having a top speed advantage. Already, Avocado is pulling away from Cosmic. I did say at the end of the Stint 2 broadcast that if Avocado was jumping in, it would basically be a guaranteed default win by Avocado, and it does look like it's already happening. Avocado is pulling away from Cosmic much faster than we saw any sort of division at the head of the field in the prior stints. Look here, Anzio running in 9th position. Highest that we have ever seen one of these Corvettes in one of these races today. He has Crazy Cowlin and another Corvette right behind. So things are just a little bit unique this time in that the Corvettes are actually starting to punch a little bit higher up their weight right now. Now, I have been told several times that the Corvettes, and along with one other entrant, are technically running in a Pro-Am category class. I'm going to be 100% honest. I'm struggling to remember that. I constantly keep forgetting that. And I'm probably going to forget that 15 more times before this is over as well. For the moment, though, Anzio is losing ground to Calco. Calco had that great run down to turn 1, and then after they came out of turn 1, it's just been falling backwards through the grid ever since. VER Salen started relatively high, but immediately dropped back to 7th. Not been a great time for them. There's the Galactic Hero running around in 6th. This is 5th place, Haya Cranky. And then the NDL drivers that have already completely separated apart from each other, it would appear. So it seems to me like outside of this potential fight for 7th, all of the battles on track pretty much fell to extreme chaos and sorted themselves out immediately off the back of that. Hilfiger has already gotten by Too Kind Flora, though, so Hilfiger is rushing up through the grid right now. If he can get up to 9th position, he will continue the streak of being the highest running car that's not in the highest running driver that's not in a Acura or a Porsche. It's kind of sad that that's the only thing he can really aspire to be in this event, but that is the goal right now. If he can get 9th, that would be fantastic in its own right. Anzio's now slipped back to 10th now. So that early move up the grid for Anzio seems to have fallen apart. Oh, Enzo. Big slide coming out of turn 1 there. That'll bring Anzio right back in. This run down to turn 4 is the one place where the Corvette has a bit of an advantage. It's not even an advantage, it's just a slight not disadvantage, really. You can't really even call it an advantage. It's just they have a not disadvantage through here. And here comes the move from the inside. Nothing. Crazy Cowling could not make it stick. Already, due to that chaos on lap 1, already our leaders are catching touring car traffic. Touring car field is incredibly spread out. Avocado trying to take the longest possible way around. That's actually going to close Cosmic down on Avocado just a little bit here. Not really sure why he chose to try and overtake in that way, but so be it. So while Avocado had been absolutely blitzing away in a straight line just a few moments ago, now a little bit of traffic seems to be Avocado's weakness. The thing is, there are still 5 more touring cars on circuit, and they also may have to deal with AFMG Land 101, who had that big spin earlier. Didn't damage the car, but he had that big spin earlier. Oh, big twitch. Avocado's into the dirt. Not deep in the dirt, but he seems to be showing a little bit of weakness right now, overdriving the car, trying to get away from Cosmic. I still think an Avocado win is a guarantee, but he is making this look a little bit tighter than it needs to be right now. Next driver on their list will be RMS Josh. What in the... Did Colin fall off circuit? Colin's fallen off circuit. No damage by the looks of it. But Colin went off circuit. We're not even 10 full minutes in, and all sorts of chaos in the touring car category, it would appear. Alright. Meanwhile in GT, Anzio runs in 9th. Crazy Cowlin is 10th. RP Mullet 11th. Galactic Hero is 12th. And then Hilfiger a lot further back, but Hilfiger is making his way up the grid. He is now in 13th position. Avocado and Cosmic have caught the next touring car. This is RMS Josh, one of the 2 touring car entrants that should be fighting for the win in touring car, but you know, after having to make extra pit stops in Stint 1, now this accident in Stint 2, they are way behind the 8 ball. They basically need something catastrophic to happen to TBR Mr. White to put them seriously back in contention for it here. Avocado clears have-nots with no issue whatsoever. Cosmic is held up just a little bit more on exit. I'm curious to see how long it's going to take Josh to clear have-nots as they come through the keyhole this time. Because it is visibly obvious that this Honda that Josh is in is much, much faster than that Audi that have-nots has been running all day long. There goes Edelweiss. How long is it going to take for Josh to clear have-nots? He's going to go the long way around. Not an issue at all. Very simple, very cut and dry. Already, most of the battles on track have already pretty much dissolved. Although I am trying to keep my eye on Hilfiger, who is cutting his way up through the field. I imagine the main thing he needs to try and go for, he needs to try and see if he can crack the top 9 so he can be back to being best of the rest, basically. Watch Crazy Cowlin as he is following behind Anzio right now. Oh, and that's Anzio. No, that's not Anzio, that's Enzo, who has gone off again in that number 98. This Acura has been like the odd one out. It is constantly sliding off, constantly struggling to stay on circuit. It seems like every single stint I've watched, this one has been the problem Acura, while the other Acuras have repeatedly been coming home the top 4 positions, top 5 positions. This one seems to be the one that's always in some sort of trouble now. And again, Enzo is going to be under threat from Anzio. Although, again, the Corvettes don't really have any strengths here. They just have a not weakness on the straightaway. So Enzo, for the moment, will hold station, but the gap between 7th and 8th continues to open up bigger and bigger as Enzo continues to basically back up these 2 Corvettes behind. Oh, and he's off again! Just like Alex Palou last year in the IndyCar race here. I'm not sure what the problem is, but now Enzo slips out of the top 10. This promotes that Corvette of Anzio back up into 8th. Whatever is wrong with this car, it is catastrophic. This thing looks absolutely impossible to handle. Here comes Hilfiger now. The way it's looking, all Hilfiger may have to do is just hold a normal line and let Enzo throw himself off circuit. It's just been that much of a struggle for him right now. Again, main reason we're focusing on this is because just about every other battle has already been decided. The touring car category completely spread out after a massive lap 1 incident. And then in GT, a bunch of random chaos has pretty much spread them all apart early on as well. This is really the one thing to watch. We basically front load all the chaos of today's event into the first lap and a half, basically. And now it's just a matter of asking for drivers like RMS Josh and Hilfiger, how many positions up can they make it? Oh my goodness, Enzo very nearly wrecked off the nose of Hilfiger there. Hilfiger's obviously not having that much better of a time, to be fair, with how big of a slide that was. Cosmic continues to run just a little bit behind Avocado right now, but has not shown the ability to navigate traffic like Avocado has. And the sheer lap time pace, the sheer pace and lap time, seems to be in Avocado's favor as well. Calco runs a little bit behind Haya Cranky and ahead of VER Salem, so in between those ZR Porsches right now. Mind you, this Porsche came home 4th in the prior stint with HYR Spirit at the helm. Avocado now catching up to Mr. White, the leader in Touring Car, and he's going to catch him in a straight line, which will make it very nice and easy for him to clear. And with that in mind, Avocado will not have to worry about traffic for a significant period of time after this. What figure watches as Enzo and Mullet are having a bit of a fight up ahead. Acura versus Porsche, but it's a midfield to closer to a back of the grid battle. These two aren't even in the top 10 right now. Porsche's wide. Enzo comes to the inside. They both really seem to be struggling at the moment. Little bit of contact, big contact. And Hilfiger very nearly runs into the side of Enzo there. Down the back straightaway now. Oh, is Enzo in ghost mode? It looks like Enzo may have gone to ghost mode. He's sideways. He spins. I don't think anyone hit him, but Enzo spins, so now Hilfiger moves up into 12th. But it'll be held up a bit, so will RP Mullet, so that helps out Galactic Hero a bit, as he continues to hang out just a little bit behind Crazy Cowlin and Anzio. Hilfiger coming into the pits. Did he get damage in that? No signs of damage. It looks like he's just pitting abnormally early. And when I say abnormally early, we're not even 20 full minutes in. This alternate strategy, I don't know if that's going to work out for him. He will be running in significantly cleaner air for a large chunk of the day. So maybe turning laps in clean air is what he's betting on, helping him out here. But I don't know how strong of a strategy that's going to be. Who is Stevie? I know who Cosmic is. Is Stevie another name for Wara? Because in the chat, Microchip T says that Stevie is catching Cosmic. I do not know who Stevie is. Although it does look like Wara might be slowly running down Cosmic. Okay, Stevie is Wara's old gamer tag. Got it. Alright. We did not have any Porsches finishing in the top 2 positions last stint. Now the question is, does Wara have what it takes to turn that trend around and get a Porsche back in the podium positions here? As Cosmic seems to be falling off of Avocado. Crazy Cowlin and Galactic Hero are also having a bit of a fight of their own right now. This is a Porsche versus Corvette battle. I'm sorry, not Porsche. Why did I say Porsche? Acura versus Corvette battle. You can see that number 51 trying to make something out of this, but it's so hard to make overtakes here. Out of the final corner, down the straightaway, and into turn 1. Hero seems to be a little bit, seems to be having trouble with the rear end snapping out on him. It kind of looks loose, but I'm not sure if it's just normal looseness or if it's just a different kind of handling issue that makes the car look loose. Pit stops are underway. Hilfiger has already made his stop. Enzo has already made his stop as well. Here comes Galactic Hero around the outside of Crazy Cowlin, and with that, Galactic Hero now back in single-digit positions, puts that number 51 Acura into 9th position. Wara continues to stalk, S-T-A-L-K, Cosmic, about 1.5 to 2 seconds behind. Avocado's victory in this stint seems all but assured as long as he doesn't end up in an accident. And honestly, he may have enough pace that even if he does end up in an accident, it might not be enough to derail his run. Higher Cranky and Calco continuing to be relatively close to each other as well, while VER Salins is slowly dribbling away distance. That is BFL. No, that's Have Nots just ahead of this duo right now. And Nots will be well offline for Cosmic, so will not be a factor for him. Can Wara beat this touring car down into the corner? He actually hits him from behind, but he is clear. Not the cleanest way to dispose of traffic, but if it works, it works. Enzo went ahead and pitted early. For those of you who care, Enzo and Hilfiger both have just elected to pit very, very early. As in like only 20 minutes in when normally the standard has been 27 minutes in. Not really sure why they chose to do that, but that's what happened to Enzo. Though to be fair, Enzo has been absolutely struggling with a awful handling car. You put in perspective how awful of a handling car Enzo has. He's running he is running last in category right now. He has no damage, but even with fresh tires and clean air, he just cannot seem to get any gap between himself and everyone else. This number 98 Acura has been arguably the worst performing GT car all day long today, at least comparing what we see to the other Acuras. If it was one of the Corvettes that were having the struggles that the 98 was having, it would just kind of be as whatever. But considering that the other two Acuras are running first and second right now, but yeah, it's only a matter of time here before Enzo gets trapped a lap down. That is the leader, Avocado, just behind, if you can't tell. Calco now pitting out of the 6th position. He'll be joined by the IARA Sailors. So we are firmly in the middle of green flag stops right now. Well, all stops in this race are green flag, but the first round of pit stop. Less than 5% left in Avocado's tank, so he'll likely be pitting at the end of this lap. Cosmic runs just a little bit farther back. He has a little bit more fuel, so maybe if he really wants to, he might be able to sneak out an extra lap, but I wouldn't push it. Then you have Indy Wara, who is third, had been closing down on Cosmic for a bit. Seems like that gap has stabilized. Wara can definitely go an extra lap if they so choose. Then you have Indiel Idolus. I do not know how to say this name. I apologize. He has 9% fuel, so he can go a very long distance. Then you have Haya Cranky, who is much, much farther back in 5th position. Way overloaded on fuel, honestly. And yes, Avocado has now put LMP Enzo a lap down. So we're seeing the back of the GT field go a lap down much, much sooner than we had the last two times. But again, it just seems like several of the drivers have been completely caught off guard here. One I'm kind of shocked at is that AFMG Lan is still on the lead lap, considering he had that big incident, a big spin coming onto the front straightaway. It took him like 10 seconds to get going again. Usually with something like that, you'd go a lap down very quickly, but no, he is actually still running on the lead lap for the moment. He has Hilfiger right behind. Hilfiger's already passed him once, and now he has to do it again. Mind you, Hilfiger was another one of the drivers who he just elected to pit very, very early to get onto an alternate strat. So Chiron's made a stop. Primo Carnivore is going to make a stop as well. And for the bottom category, we've not really talked a lot about, because after that big lap 1 accident, it's all just kind of been a matter of just general pace. We know that RMS Josh is the fastest driver in that category, and he's already made his way up into second, but we do not know if he's going to be able to catch TBR Mr. White. We'll keep an eye on that as this race goes on. And remember, Josh will likely have to make an extra pit stop due to the fact that they had to pit lap 1 due to an accident. All right, it looks like a bunch of the NDL drivers, Avocado and Cosmic, both have elected to pit. They also were joined by ZR Hyatt Cranky, but Wara and Idolus are both going to stay out just an extra lap, it would appear. So Wara will be paying at the end of this lap. Now, Wara had been closing on Cosmic for a bit, but then that gap kind of stalled out at about the 1.75 second mark. I'm curious to see if Wara staying out this extra lap will help, because he's going to have to deal with traffic. Not a lot of traffic, but he will have to deal with traffic here. Anzio and Mullet now going ahead and jumping into the pit lane this time. Crazy Cowlin scoots by Two Kind Flora, and here comes Wara, and he'll be joined by RMS Josh, who, remind you, Josh has been locked onto what's going to be something like a 4-stop strategy due to that lap 1 accident he was involved in. Wara and Idolus both come into the pits. We're almost guaranteed to see Avocado go right back to the lead without issue. The interesting question is going to be, where is Cosmic going to be in relation to Wara? Well, it's not looking great, because Cosmic has just been held up there by, I believe that's Primo Carnivore there. And in the end, Cosmic is going to be right ahead of Wara, just barely, but he will be right ahead of Wara. And it was Striker, not Carnivore, it was Striker who just got back by Josh there. So Josh falls back out of the podium positions for now. But still, Josh is showing some good speed in that setup right now. That was an interesting line, Striker. Oh, not Striker, Josh. Striker's on his side, but Josh had an interesting line there. Like he was setting up to do a big dive bomb, but like pulled out well before a normal... Oh, he just hit him in the rear. He just hit him in the rear. He just ran his nose up the other guy's rear in a way that completely caught Striker off guard. That's Idolus going by now. Two Kind Flora making their stop. So all drivers have now made their first mandatory stop at this stage of the event. Our leader is Avocado. It's going to be an easy walk-off win, as we anticipated. There is a bit of a stalking battle going on between Cosmic and Wara. Cosmic has track position. Wara has a bit of a fuel and tire advantage, though. 4th place is Idolus. 5th place is ZR Haya Cranky. 6th is Calco, who runs just a little bit ahead of VER Salins. After that is Galactic Hero, who is a long way back in comparison. They have to try and keep Hilfiger behind, as Hilfiger is on a wildly alternate strategy. 10th place is Anzio, the best running of the Lame Duck Corvettes in the event. With that in mind, it has been a little bit over 30 minutes through. We are going to go ahead and knock out a Twitch-mandated ad break. Now that the race has calmed down, we will be back momentarily here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Mid-Ohio, and just as we were right on board, we saw IARA get alongside Cosmic as they're coming out of the final corner. It's a drag race on the way out. They still have to deal with the lap car of Two Kinds Flora just ahead. IARA goes to the inside, will clear the Porsche. Flora is completely caught off guard, nearly spins out. IARA now cracks the top two. Cosmic still runs in third, but IARA is now running as high as he probably could. I don't think IARA has what it takes to run down Avocado, but we could get another Porsche in the second place. We saw this back in Stint 1. Although Cosmic is not done. You can see Cosmic tucks up right underneath the rear wing of the Porsche down the straight, but that rear end slid out so wide through turn 4. A little bit more stable through turn 5, down into turn 6 now. No issue through there. They'll have to deal with some traffic in the form of the prototypes. Traffic in the form of the touring cars, and he went off. It was Mr. White who went off there. And for Mr. White, who is trying to extend their team's gap over the RMS Josh team, having a big off like that is not going to help whatsoever. But now Cosmic has completely fallen off from IARA and is actually under threat from Idlewiss. So yeah, everything seems to be gradually falling apart just for the moment for Cosmic. There's still plenty of time for him to rebound, but he now can see another Porsche showing up in the background. And the thing for Cosmic is he's stuck behind the same driver, Two Kind Flora, all over again. Flora's not been ungodly off pace. Flora's problem has been struggling to keep that car on circuit. All right, well, Cosmic has cleared Flora now, and now it's going to end up being a bit of a headache for Idlewiss. If anyone knows how to say his name, please, help me sound this out. I cannot figure out how to say his name. I keep wanting to say Edelweiss. Still, can't clear Two Kind Flora. These Porsches seem to be just evenly matched enough. And that's great news for Cosmic. It lets him pull out a bit of a gap and start to stabilize a bit. Farther back in the grid, Hilfiger runs in 9th position. And would you look at that? What does that mean? It means that once again, Hilfiger and that Mercedes, despite being involved in that lap 1 incident and having to rush to the field and then also going ahead and pitting very early, Hilfiger is once again the highest running car that is not an Acura or a Porsche. What kind of madness is going on with you guys? As Hilfiger runs into the rear of that BFL Ford. Mind you, that is a Striker trying to get by BFL Colin. These two are not on the same lap. And we saw way back in Stint 1 near the end where a pair of BFL drivers got into it with each other and ended up having an accident. Now, no damage in that accident, but this would not be the first time we have seen BFL on BFL violence in this series. Alan Pienzo seems to have finally stymied the bleeding, but he is in 12th position and likely going to go a lap down for good before this hour is up. Ahead of him is the Corvette of Crazy Cowlin, and ahead of them is the highest running Corvette still of Anzio, who seems to be back in the 10th position. I think this is probably the ceiling of what these Corvettes can achieve in today's race, barring a massive series of disconnects. Galactic Hero, in this Acura, is the next driver that Hilfiger will be setting their sights on. But that might not come for quite a bit. Then you have Salins, who is kind of running all by himself right now in the 7th spot. 6th place here is Calco. 5th is Haya Cranky. 4th place is Indiel. I can't say his name. I have no idea what BFL stands for. I'm sorry, I can't help you with that one. I want to say it's Battlefield League, but I cannot pretend to know. Big Fat Lizard. Okay. You know what? That sounds good to me. I'm going to choose to stick with the Big Fat Lizard answer instead of the other one that was suggested in the chat. All right. Well, everything seems to have calmed down quite a bit here. Most of the battles on track seem to have pretty much dissolved now. Everyone's kind of found their place where they're running. Although we have just had another driver go off in the form of BFL Colin. He is incredibly slow, as if he's hit something. Doesn't look like he's hit something, but yeah, he's not having a great time right now, it would appear. Anyways, about a third of the way here through Stint 3 out of 4 for IARA's Mid-Ohio 8-hour endurance event. All day today has been the NDL group just completely dominating, but it's not always been the same NDL drivers. The only constant is that it has been an Acura that has won every stint thus far today. And BFL Collins seems to have dropped out. We're going to try and reach out to him and see what happened that took him out there. But now we are down to just 5 touring cars left. Oh, Knotts gets run over from behind by that Porsche of Mullet. And that actually backs Mullet up enough to let Enzo sneak on by. So Enzo disposes of Mullet after some traffic navigation. So there are still some things that can happen here. So Enzo now seems to have stabilized, like I said earlier, he seems to have stabilized around this 12th or 13th place on track, but considering the other Acuras are running 1st and 3rd, Still they're going at it though. Right on board with Mullet as he chases Enzo around through the twisty section. Not quite a straightaway through here, but you take enough speed that you can get alongside slower category traffic. And Enzo completely offline for 3 corners in a row. And it brings Mullet right back up behind him, but immediately you can see Enzo shoots away in a straight line. It seems to me like Enzo likely has a setup that has really minimized the downforce, and they have maximized the mechanical turn-in, but I think they may have gone too far, and it's made the car a little bit unpredictable. It has a lot of turn-in, but it doesn't really stick to the ground at all. Because the car constantly looks like it's pointing in the right direction, but the momentum is not following the direction that it's pointing. Coming up on a bit of traffic here. That is RMS Josh, who should, if not being involved in that big accident in lap 1, should have been fighting for the touring car category win. Now it seems like that is very unlikely to happen unless there's an accident that TBR Mr. White has. And Mullet sideways and into the dirt, and that will likely end that fight for quite some time. I'll also put Mullet a lap down, actually, and Enzo about to go a lap down as well. So now only the top 11 cars are on the lead lap, and at the rate the Avocado is moving, that likely won't even last for much longer either. Oh, you can see Enzo's definitely has a setup that is way low on downforce. He goes sucko mode. Enzo goes sucko mode and goes right around the outside of the leader and gets him. And then immediately can't keep the car on track and loses the position 2 corners later. But he was completely out of control. Straight line, maximum speed through the dirt and wrapped it around the outside of Avocado. And sure, maybe Avocado backed out, but that was incredible. I don't know how in the world Enzo made that stick. That's what we call sucko mode. That was incredible. It's just kind of a shame that the car is so poorly designed that you can make a move like that and it won't matter because you'll be 3 times farther behind the following lap. But that was awesome. I really hope someone clips Enzo going sucko mode because that was amazing. Okay, looks like we are back in the middle of pit stops once again here. Hilfiger has already gone ahead and made a stop, and now Hyatt Cranky is going ahead and jumping into the pit lane as well. Again, you're required 3 stops before that race timer says 25 minutes left. Hilfiger now officially a lap down to Indiel Avocado as well. So now only our top 10 drivers are still on the lead lap right now. Although, reminder, Hilfiger has already made his second stop. He is on a strategy that has seen him stop very early compared to most of the other drivers on track. Cowlin runs just a little bit behind Anzio in this Corvette on Corvette fight that's been simmering throughout a good chunk of the day. This will likely be a fight for the 10th position overall. He'll figure likely will have them on the combination of strategy and pace going forward. Anzio seems to be held up by a bit of traffic there. That is the leader in the category, the touring car category, TBR Mr. White. This entry won Stint 1, took home second in Stint 2, still had the overall lead, but have not had the outright pace compared to RMS Josh. But now that Josh had that lap 1 accident here, Josh is trying to dig themselves out of a hole that has gotten even bigger as Enzo is pulling the car into the pits now. While Mr. White just needs to continue. He could be the second fastest driver on, well, the second fastest driver and the second fastest team on track. If the fastest one, the entry that RMS Josh is in, if they keep having accidents and incidents and catastrophes, White will win it just off the back of consistency. Calco is going to be the first driver of the top 6 to pit, well, second actually, because Haya Cranky had already pitted as well, but we are still waiting to see our top 4 drivers go ahead and make a pit stop this time. Now we see Salins jumping into the pits along with Calco, so I imagine we'll see Haya Cranky get by one, if not both of them here, and that is exactly what happens. Haya Cranky goes right back to 5th position. Still, our top 4 drivers have yet to make their second stop of the day. Halfway through Stint 3 here. Easy overtake by Avocado, who has now lapped everyone who is not in the top 9. Crazy Cowlin ducks into the pits. He said, hey, look, I've got a lap down, might as well pit now. Anzio's going to stay out just a little bit longer, though, by the looks of it. No! Wara! One of our top runners, Indio Wara, suddenly has a disconnect! Just past the halfway point, and Indio Wara has separated from us. He will not be running to the end. What happened? What warranted this? What was the cause? All right, ladies and gentlemen, we apologize for the technical issues. Seems like whatever may have taken Wara out might have fucked up me, but I'm still here. My Forza didn't disconnect, but my stream very nearly died. I do apologize for that. While we were away, though, Indio Avocado has now put our highest Corvette a lap down, Anzio. So now at this point, only the top 7 drivers are not a lap down at this stage of the event. Galactic Hero still has yet to pit. Right now, our top 3, Avocado, Cosmic, and Idolus, however you're supposed to say that, still all have yet to pit. We anticipate they would pit sooner rather than later here. Yeah, I imagine Avocado will have to pit this lap. So all these drivers going longer while... Now, all 3 of these drivers are going nice and long compared to their competition. I imagine Avocado and Cosmic are definitely going to be pitting this lap. Idolus might go ahead and stay out for a little bit longer. still, none of our top 3 pit. I'm honestly shocked that Avocado and Cosmic did not choose to pit that time by. Avocado is pushing the fuel number a little bit tighter than I think he really needs to. Cosmic should be fine, but Avocado is pushing that fuel number a lot tighter than he needs to. I think he'll make it. I think he'll have enough fuel to... Okay, one second. Idoless. Okay. Hopefully I can remember that. Thank you very much, Light. I am sorry for butchering the teammate's name so often. The longer I've stared at it, the less and less confident I am with any pronunciation. So Avocado, near guaranteed to jump into the pits this time by. All of our touring cars have already gone ahead and jumped into the pits, but only about half of our GT category has pitted this time. Avocado's coming in this time. Anzio is coming in this time. Is Cosmic staying out? Am I seeing this right? Yeah, Idolus has pitted, but Cosmic is staying out. Will Cosmic have the fuel to make it around? I don't know if Cosmic's gonna have the fuel to make it around. He's at 2.1% right now, and that number is only gonna get tighter. Has Cosmic pushed it too far? I mean, the car's gonna feel absolutely incredible having no fuel in it like this, but has Cosmic pushed the fuel too far? Will he make it into the pits? He's at 1.1% as they come into the twisties. You'll use less fuel through here, but that also means there's less chance to save fuel through here. Point 0.7. 0.6, 0.5, 0.4, 0.3. All right, he's gonna make it. He'll be fine. Even if he hit 0 now, he'd have enough to just coast in on fumes. So Cosmic stays out for an extra lap, trying to just do something different to Avocado to try and close that gap down. So AFMG Lan, Chiron, and Two Kind Floor are now the only drivers who have yet to make their second stop. Lan is going to stay out for another circuit. What about Chiron? And sure enough, Avocado overtakes Cosmic as we all anticipated. Here comes Chiron into the pits, as anticipated as well. What of Two Kind Flora? So everyone except Lan and Flora have made their second stop. In the case of RMS Josh, because of that accident back on lap 1, he's technically made all 3 of his mandatory stops, but I imagine he's going to be committing to a 4th stop anyway. And yes, here comes Flora into the pits this time. I'm assuming that Lan is going to pit at the end of this lap because he's almost out of fuel. All right. Well, with this in mind, because Lan is going to be paying this time, we're going to go ahead and go to a Twitch mandated ad break. It is NDL Lockout, the head of the field. Acura, Porsche. We'll be back momentarily here at Mid-Ohio. Don't go away. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we want to welcome you back here to Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. We have about 40 minutes left here in Stint 3 out of the 4 stints we have for the IARA 8-hour endurance here at Mid-Ohio. We are currently watching our 8th place driver, Hilfiger, who once again is set up to be the highest running driver and entry that is not in a Porsche or an Acura. Somehow, for the moment, he is still on the lead lap. Someone has gone backwards there. Is that Flora? It is Flora who has gone backwards and looped it out of there. No damage. He'll be able to continue. But it has not been a good time for Flora today. But as I had been saying about Hilfiger, while his finishing results have gradually gotten worse and worse, 6 stint 1, 7 stint 2, he's on track for 8 this stint. He has still repeatedly been the best performing car that's not, well, this entry has been the best performing entry that's not been a Acura or Porsche. And also remember, Hilfiger is running an alternate strategy. He is pitting significantly earlier than everybody else, trying to spend more time in relatively cleaner air and traffic. Next driver, if he was to pull off another overtake, the only other driver who might have a serious shot of being caught by him would be Galactic Hero here in this number 51 Acura right now. No real competition anywhere in the top 5 positions. Honestly, in the top 7 positions, everyone in the top 7 are relatively well spread out. And quite frankly, you have to go back to this kind of stalking battle going on right now between Anzio and Enzo for anything close to a driver-on-driver battle on track here. Enzo is in a car that on paper should be fast, but the handling has just not been there. Anzio's in a car that just has absolutely not a single strength around this circuit. Enzo's just outside of Anzio's draft range right now. No other real pair of cars are really close to each other, having anything close to a legitimate fight. Have-Nots BFL has now gone a second lap down to TBR Mr. White. All Mr. White has to do is just keep everything together. RMS Josh is going to basically, while he is still continuing to close, it is unlikely he'll be able to catch and pass Primo Carnivore before this event is over. We still have 37 minutes left in this stint. And also, just in general, this RMS entry is likely just going to continue to lose ground to the TBR team here based on how this is going. That's two-time Flora coming up behind RMS Josh there. Oh, it looks like Anzio and Enzo side by side in the keyhole. And the Acura will have good initial acceleration. The Corvette will have slightly better top end, but it takes so long for it to get to the top end, and you barely really even touch it here around this circuit to begin with. So Enzo has Anzio for the moment, but again, Enzo's big thing is that car has just been very, very temperamental, to say the least. And now they have our third place driver, A. Doles, who is closing up behind them. So Indy Elwara, who had fought his way up to second position, disconnected about 15 minutes ago. We were not able to get an interview with him. We do not know what happened to Indy IARA that took him out of the event, but he was on track for a top 2 result. That is over. So now it is back to just being Avocado versus Cosmic for the overall top results. And with how Avocado is just killing the field today, unless he has a disconnect or some sort of catastrophic accident in Stint 4, I think Indy Avocado's team is likely going to walk off with the overall win. They definitely have the Stint victory in the bank. Right on board with Anzio, and you can see a Doles closes in right behind. Should be a really easy overtake here. Because while the Corvette's going to have an ideal top end, it's so heavy he'll have to jump under the brakes super early. That overtake was done before he even got to the Corvette's top speed. And Enzo is starting to scoot off once again now. Hilfiger is starting to close the gap down between himself and Galactic Hero as well. It's happening slowly but surely, and Indy Avocado is running down on both of them. We are on track to see, again, an event where your Stint winner may put everyone who's not in the top 6 a lap down. Hilfiger's held up a bit there by Mr. White. That will give Galactic Hero just a bit of a breathing room, because now these two will be in relatively clean air for the next few laps. Fourth place and fifth place, which is Calco and Hyatt Cranky, are close enough that they can see each other on the straightaways, but they are not anywhere close enough to really put pressure on each other. It's just close enough where it's like, I'm aware they're there, but it's not close enough where you really have to start alternating your line or start even thinking about being defensive right now. Again, reminder, Hilfiger running on a radically alternate strategy, pitting significantly earlier than everyone else in category. He was involved in that lap 1 incident. Didn't take damage, but fell to last place, even behind touring cars. Raced his way up, cracked the top 10, and then immediately pitted early. He's been running this alternate strategy as long as he can since, hoping that by pitting early, he will end up with a positive enough delta to end up ahead of these other drivers that he has been trying to catch. Galactic Hero's up the road, and he is still slowly closing the gap down between himself and Galactic Hero. But I think it's very likely we will see Hilfiger pit again for his final time before he actually gets alongside Galactic Hero. It might end up being a case where he will pit once he catches Galactic Hero because he doesn't want to spend a lot of time fighting with him on track. So it may just be a case that once he catches the rear bumper of Hero's Acura, he will say, okay, I've had enough, and immediately duck it into the pits. All right, about 32 minutes left in the event. We're going to go ahead and take a Twitch-mandated ad break, and when we come back, hopefully we'll start catching drivers make their third and final round of pit stops. We'll return momentarily here at Mid-Ohio. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Mid-Ohio. 30 minutes left. While we were away, we had another disconnect in the form of BFL Striker. So now we're just down to 4 touring car entries left, which will mean that traffic management will just continue to become easier and easier. Avocado has now put Hilfiger a lap down and is running down on Galactic Hero as we speak now. Hilfiger is kind of trying to hope that he can just follow Avocado through to get that position over Galactic Hero. Well, that big slide off is not going to help Galactic Hero at all. Again, it might seem ridiculous I'm focusing so much on Galactic Hero and Hilfiger, but this has been one of the more interesting battles that have kind of shown up over the last few laps. And again, we saw Galactic Hero go off there. This could get interesting for Hilfiger, because if Avocado and Galactic Hero go side by side into the braking zone, they'll have a fantastic job at trying to catch them. If Galactic Hero is offline for a prolonged period of time. No! So Avocado still could not get around Galactic Hero, not that time. This is Acura on Acura. These cars will have roughly the same strengths and weaknesses, but again, there's a world of difference between the weird jelly tune crap. I shouldn't say jelly tune crap. Should I say jam tune? Yeah, well, there's some weird stuff between the jam tunes that the organized Forza teams have and what the less organized teams run. Less organized teams run setups that are actually closer to real life stuff. Most of the organized Forza team will run setups that are just to min-max the strengths and weaknesses of the game's physics. And there's just no comparison between the two. Well, so now only the top 6 cars are on the lead lap. It is a long way, though, from NDL Avocado to VER Salins. Hilfiger can see Galactic Hero ahead. Reminder, though, Hilfiger is on an alternate pit stop strategy. He has been pitting earlier than the drivers around him, and his tires already have quite a bit of wear. We have 27 minutes left. If he pits with about 26 to go, while his tires will be hurting, he would be able to make it to the end without too much issue here. After that lap 1 chaos and then that one spin that we saw AFMG Land have on lap 3, there's not really been a lot of craziness. As I say that, Hilfiger very nearly loses control over the blind uphill right-hander after dropping that left rear tire into the dirt. That's going to hurt his ability to try and run down Galactic Hero. And Hilfiger says that he's had enough and he's jumping into the pits this time. So again, when he comes out, he'll have about 25 minutes or so left in the event. His tires will make it. They'll be a little bit warm, but he can make it without issue. There's just really not much else when it comes to battles on circuit worth talking about. Anzio has completely fallen off from Enzo at this point of the event. And RP Mullet is close-ish to Anzio, but not close enough to start directly fighting with him. And Mullet's been involved in a handful of incidents. Not anything crazy, but things have definitely slowed him down throughout the day. All right, Cranky's pitting. Calco is pitting. So, all right, so now all of a sudden, the majority of the field all jumping in at the same time. So all these drivers pitting early. Their tires will have a little bit more wear near the end, but with how little time is left on the clock, I don't think it's going to be enough to massively upend stuff. Salins pits, Calco pits, Haya Cranky pits. I think Salins is far enough up the road that while he might briefly go a lap down to Avocado, once Avocado pits, I think Salins will get right back on the lead lap, assuming nothing else goes wrong here. Watching Avocado, he still has enough fuel for probably another 3 to 4 laps without issue here, as he's tucked up behind one of the lame duck Corvettes right now. So RMS Josh has run down Primo Carnivore. So this is now a legitimate fight for second position here in the touring car category. I said earlier there is a possibility you could catch them, but passing is going to be a completely different thing. And again, they have to deal with traffic all the way through as well. So while we know that Josh is one of the faster drivers in the touring car category, making overtakes between touring cars has been almost impossible unless you are multiple seconds a lap faster like everyone has been over the Have-Nots VFL's team. It's just, you're not going to be able to make overtakes. The touring cars do not have the speed that will let the braking zone at the end of the back straightaway be long enough to be a good overtaking spot. And most of the other corners are just not good overtaking spots in anything. So making this overtake is going to be very difficult, and I could very easily see a scenario where Josh just gets stuck behind Carnivore here, and the overtake doesn't happen until, you know, the in and out lap through pit lane. I'd love to be wrong, though. It would be interesting to see him make this overtake happen. Looks inside, won't commit. We have seen attempts at overtakes. We've seen big dives and door banging, but usually the driver who is ahead just normally ends up, even when they're knocked off the ideal line, they end up with enough of an advantage that's just not a problem. These are front-wheel drive cars, so even if you're knocked offline, all you really have to do is just mash the throttle, and you can just power out of almost any slide or any hiccup you have. There are some exceptions, but like that is generally the way to go. Here comes Primo Carnivore into the pits this time. Mind you, TBR Mr. White pitted earlier, so this means that just for a moment we will have RMS Josh be your leader. But again, we believe he has to make a fourth pit stop because his first stop was on lap 1 due to damage on the car. He's got 22 minutes left, and if you look at how little fuel he has, there's just no way you can make that fuel go to the end here. Galactic Hero still has yet to make a stop. He runs in 7th position. 6th place is VER Salins. 5th is Calco. 4th is ZR Haya Cranky. Those 3 have all made their stops, and then the top 3, Avocado Cosmic and Idolus, have all yet to make their second stop. LMP Enzo jumping into the pits now. That will briefly at least put him behind RP Mullet and Crazy Cowlin. Interestingly enough, AFMG Land has gradually been closing down on Crazy Cowlin, so we may have another Chevy on Chevy battle for what could end up being about 11th position to the end here. I will try to keep an eye on that, assuming I remember. Still no signs that our leaders are going to be pitting anytime soon, although their fuel level is very low. 5%, a little bit over 5% at the line. Indiel Avocado could probably do this lap and one more lap if he so chooses. I think the same is probably going to be the case for Cosmic as well, who is in another Acura. He could probably go 3 laps, if not 4. And then the Porsche of Idolus, 12.5%. So the Porsche could go way, way farther on fuel if he so chooses. Not to mention, even if he doesn't want to do that, Idolus could go ahead and make it a short fill as well. Pit a little bit quicker here. Pit a little bit earlier. Don't need to put as much fuel in because you'll already have fuel in the car. Try a short fill. The other option obviously is to run the fuel tank empty and you are still short filling because you're not putting as much gas in the tank anyway. But those are the 2 ways you can do a short fill. either just need to put less in the tank to begin with, or already have some fuel in the tank, so you need to put less in to get to the number you need. Too Kind Flora is off circuit on the short straight before the keyhole. Not sure what's gone on there. It's just been a rough time for this carbon black Red Bull Porsche. And as I said earlier, yes, TBR Mr. White did end up getting second place from Primo Carnivore off the back of in and out laps. So well, no, actually I take that back. White's not made his final stop yet, actually. When is he going to make his final? Again, we are anticipating he still has one more. Well, no, what? Nope, I'm sorry, I'm getting people confused. It is Josh who has yet to make his final stop, not White. I apologize. We still don't know when he's going to choose to make this final stop. We have about 18 and a half minutes left when Josh hits pit lane entry. Will he pit this time? Indiel Avocado's paying this time, though. The leader in the top category is diving into the pits now. Will he be joined by Cosmic or Adolis? Here comes Josh. So we have every reason to believe that Mr. White will pick the lead back up without too much issue here. Because that is Mr. White right there. Cosmic stays out, but Idolis pits. So Cosmic, is he close enough to get the lead from Avocado? Even briefly, yes. So Cosmic will very briefly go back into the lead over Avocado. But again, he will have to pit at the end of this lap. Doesn't have a lot of fuel left. And his tires are not looking great. Adolis, his scenario is quite simply short fill. Might as well use a short fill now. You don't want to end up in a scenario where you have burnt out tires. Still waiting on Galactic Hero and AFMG Lamb 101 to jump into the pit lane. Also, Chiron VT and Too Kind Flora. Reminder, Chiron VT, while he wasn't allowed to Ironman due to the rules, he is running 3 out of the 4 stints. So he is doing about 6 hours, technically less than 6 hours, that's closer to like 5 hours, but he's doing about 6 hours of racing in an 8-hour period, so Chiron really needs to try and hope he can keep on top of it right now. 17 minutes left here. Galactic Hero jumping into the pit, so this is going to be where it's interesting, because his main competition is this man here, Hilfiger. It will be Galactic Hero versus Hilfiger to the end here for the 7th spot on track. I think Galactic Hero is going to hold this position. Yep, already Galactic Hero is rolling down the pit lane straight. He's already completed his stop proper. Hilfiger fires it out on 2. The start-finish straight, but Galactic Hero is already in turn 1. Hilfiger gets to turn 1. Galactic Hero is already out of the pits. Coming down the straight, Hilfiger will be at full speed, trying to run down. This gap has not closed by any significant amount. So now the problem that Hilfiger has is that even if he's fast enough to catch Galactic Hero, his tires are going to be more worn for this entry. While it has been the best non-Porsche, non-Acura entry all day long, the results just continue to gradually get worse and worse. 6th in Stint 1, 7th in Stint 2, on track to what might only be an 8th here in Stint 3. AFMG Land making their stop. Where is this going to put them in relation to Crazy Cowlin? Comes Cowlin coming around the outside, and Cowlin's going to nip AFMG Land. Now, mind you, though, Cowlin has some wear on his tires. He's been on this rubber for a bit. Land won't have to worry about that. Cosmic in the pits now, so Avocado will go back to the top of the field. And with that in mind, everyone except for Chiron and Too Kind Flora have made all 3 of their mandatory stops. With tire wear like that, I imagine Chiron will pit at the end of this lap. And for Too Kind Flora, a lot of wear on the rear tires. I imagine they will pit at the end of this lap as well. So with 15 minutes left in the event, we're going to go ahead and go to a Twitch mandated ad break. When we come back, we will stay here to the end of this stint. We'll be back momentarily here at Mid-Ohio. I don't understand why Flora still hasn't done their last stop. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. We have just a little bit over 13 minutes left here in Stint 3. There will be one more stint after this. RMS Josh here was involved in a big accident on lap 1. Lost a big chunk of time, but has fought his way up to second place. While there is very little chance that he actually catches Mr. White before this is end, Josh has done a great job stemming the bleeding and keeping the team from losing too much ground here in Stint 3. So while this team is still going to be behind by about 40% of a lap, if this team can put together some fast laps and avoid incidents in the final stint, a victory might still be in the cards for this entry. That right behind, you see him going around now, is LMP Enzo. Enzo's been wild to watch in a car that is absolutely atrociously set up, but he's got some incredible straight line speed and had a big succo mode pass earlier around the extreme outside. Car in the dirt on the back straightaway overtook the leader to stay on the lead lap, even if it was only for 5 extra seconds. Enzo has the heart of a warrior, but the car of a 2019 Williams, oh no, probably a car of a 2021 Haas, it feels like. Basically every position on track has pretty much been decided outside of a stalking battle that has been going on between Hilfiger and Galactic Hero. The thing is that these two, I don't know if they're going to be catching any more traffic. And at this stage of the event, I look at Hilfiger and I look at Galactic Hero. Hilfiger has tires already have quite a bit of wear on them, and Galactic Hero does not have to worry about tire wear, although Galactic Hero is overfilled by quite a bit, so his car is a little heavier than it really needs to be. Neither of these drivers have been having a great time. They've both been having a lot of sliding around moments throughout the run. Like that there, although that wasn't nearly as bad as some of the stuff we've seen from Galactic Hero earlier. Just use the points of interest camera to time the gap between them. 1,001, 1,002, 1,003. It's about 3 seconds between them right now. I'm going to use the points of interest camera, actually. $1,001, $1,002, $1,000. Yeah, just a little bit under 3 seconds, if not right exactly 3 seconds, between Galactic Hero and Hilfiger. That's what I'm calculating right now. And with 10 minutes left, basically, Galactic Hero needs to close by about a second every 3 minutes to catch him with a minute left and then try to make a last moment overtake. I don't know if that's going to happen. Again, Hilfiger is going to be dealing with some significant tire fall off here to the end. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. I'm not going to say it can't happen, but I don't think it's going to happen. Two-Kind Flora finally jumps in, makes his final stop. I don't know why he waited so long to do so. Big twitch by Hilfiger there is not going to help. Again, basically every other battle on track has pretty much been long decided outside of potentially Cowlin and AFMZ Land. AFMZ Land here had a big spin on the start-finish straight back on lap 3. Kind of bounced off a few other cars in the process. But seems like he's recovered enough to have some sort of fight near the end. As we are now at 9 minutes left. Well, a bit over 9 minutes left in this stint here. Riding on board with Land here as he tries to run down on Crazy Cowlin. Again, these are two Corvettes, and these Corvettes just are no good around Mid-Ohio. They have great top end, and that is literally the only positive they have. And the straightaway here is, well, it's long enough to attempt overtakes. It is not nearly long enough for these Corvettes to really crack their top end. So these are cars that are just the worst for driving around this circuit. And here comes a move around the outside. Oh, door-to-door contact. But Land's done it around the outside. That was pretty solid. That was pretty good. Now he's just got to keep it on track and keep the other Corvette behind him for a while. And with Cowlin dropping tires in the dirt like that, it'll definitely give Land something to breathe a bit easier about. Hilfiger's lost touch with Galactic Heroes, so yeah, that Mercedes car is going to just continue to get worse and worse, it seems, as the event goes on. And honestly, Hilfiger would be running even worse than this if not for the fact that IARA, who had been running a strong second, disconnected about halfway through this stint. So right now, this seems to be the only serious battle on track now. Everywhere else seems to have been pretty much decided. The only other thing that's really worth keeping an eye on is how much the gap between Mr. White and RMS Josh continues to close, because the tighter that gap is, the less ground that Josh's team have to make up. They were, from my calculations, about a quarter of a lap behind Mr. White and the Mr. White team coming into this stint. So while they're going to be they're going to lose even more ground, they still have shown to have a gigantic pace advantage based off of what they did in Stint 2. And honestly, what they did in Stint 1 before the double pit stop mistake. Ooh, and Cowlin drops tires in the dirt again. Oh, but here we are. He's got to run despite that. He's going to try and go around the outside, and he's going to make it stick. He just goes around the outside of Land. There's no damage on Land's car. Land just seemed to be way off pace all of a sudden. Both these Corvettes still held up behind traffic here. Now Land looking to the outside, coming into the keyhole. We'll try to cross over on exit. I think these cars might be too big to cross over on exit. No, he's got it. He timed it well enough. Drag race down the straightaway. This time, Land is going to complete the overtake before the braking zone by the looks of it. And he's got him. So Land gets right back by Cowlin. So whatever mistake caused him to lose the ground earlier, it's not mattered now. He's back in front. And while these two are battling, this is NDL Avocado just behind, about to try and put both of them another lap down. Callan's really falling off now as Avocado goes by. As Avocado right behind in that Acura, the leader in GT, will likely be able to sail by in a straightaway here. Lan is not letting him go easily, and that might end up causing him troubles. We'll see. He's got the draft off of the Acura, so he'll try to use the draft to keep the gap between himself and Callan a little bit wider. I think that will do it. Again, as long as Lan doesn't have some sort of mistake here, I think he's going to be able to get 12th, which, I mean, that's not much when there's only 15 guys, 16 stars, and only 15 of them are still running, but still, considering that these Corvettes are legitimately, like, lame duck entrants, anything is an improvement. That is Have Not's BFL, who's basically acting as a pick, really going to hold up Lan here. And that brings Callan right back up as well. And there's another one. That is RMS Josh just ahead of this duo now. And all of a sudden, the fight is on once again. Just hitting one member of traffic in a bad part of the track. And all of a sudden, somebody you were gone from could be right back on you. Now this time, it's Callan who gets to try the crossover on exit. But Lamb puts the power down nice and smooth coming out of the keyhole. Nips by RMS Josh. And Callan is losing ground. Just did not have the ability to put the power down on corner exit. So now the gap is starting to open back up once again. About 2.5 minutes left. So these guys will finish this lap and get the majority of one more lap after that. In that fight between Galactic Hero and Hilfiger, it's done for. Hilfiger's tires are cooked, and he is just bleeding time to Galactic Hero. So, yes, the Mercedes entry continues to just get worse and worse results as it goes on. At this rate, in Stint 4, there is a distinct possibility that Hilfiger might not even be able to outrun whoever the best performing Corvette is. Just under 2 minutes left now. Out of turn 1, we see Callan drops tires into the dirt, but now it's going to be cleaner air ahead of them for a while. There is one more touring car up the road. I believe that would be TBR Mr. White. Real quickly, just to give you some idea, ZR Haya Cranky started 15th, got up to 4th. Incredible run there. No one else has been able to do anything close to that. RP Mullets gained 3 spots since the start. AFMG Lamb 101 went from 16th to 12th. And that's really it. The only other significant notes is that Have Not's BFL gained 3 positions, but that is all off of disconnects. Primo Carnivore has gained 2 positions. That is also only off of disconnects. And TBR Mr. White also gained 2 positions, which is also off of the back of disconnects. Yeah, so think of that what you will, I guess. Just over 30 seconds left. And yes, that is Mr. White just ahead. But I think Lan and Callan will catch Mr. White at a position where he won't have too much of an impact on this duo. Or maybe not. I don't... No, it looks like Mr. White will hold up. AFMG land just a little bit, but Cowlin, all sorts of sideways coming out of the keyhole. It's not going to matter. So yeah, Land will get this, and your winner for the stint is going to be Avocado, as time's up, over, plow! All right, and that's that. Real quickly, run through the field. Your stint 3 winner is NDL Avocado. This should put this team in a massive advantage going forward. Second place will be NDL Cosmic. Third place will be NDL Idolus, highest running Porsche. Fourth place will be ZR Haya Cranky. Fifth place will be Calco. Sixth place will be VER Salins, who just barely finished on the lead lap. It came very close to them nearly going a lap down. Seventh will be Galactic Hero. I don't know why you're still moving. Eighth will be Hillfigure. Ninth will be LMP Enzo. 10th will be RP Mullet. 11th will be Anzio, the highest of the lame duck Corvettes. 12th will be Crazy Cowlin. No, 12th should be Lan, but Cowlin just shot off into the dirt, locked up the brakes to try and cheat some extra distance. So I could see that being looked at later. 14th will be Chiron VT. Remember, Chiron is going to be running next stint as well. 15th will be Too Kind Flora. 16th will be RMS Josh, and he will also be the highest of the, well, the second highest. No, 16th is TBR Mr. White. 17th is RMS Josh. 18th is Primo Carnivore. 19th is Have Nots BFL. So also, I am not going to be doing interviews at the end of this stint, just because the officials are trying to fast track the drivers who are to stinting into the lobby for the next stint, and I imagine I will need to follow as well. So we are going to go ahead and wrap up this broadcast here. While I would like the idea of getting some interviews done, I need to be in the lobby to prepare for the next stint as fast as possible. So for everyone who joined in with us, thank you very much. We will be back in about 4 to 5 minutes for the broadcast for the 4th and final stint for the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course event. Thank you everyone for joining us. I do want to say farewell, and I will see you all in a few minutes.